जयो राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जयो राधा माधव गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गिरिवरधारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरवनाचारी यमुना तीरवनाचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदना ब्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरवनाचारी यमुना तीरवनाचारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. जयो राधा वल्लभ राधा वल्लभ श्री राधे जयो राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर श्री राधे जयो जगन्नाथा जगन्नाथा बलदेवा जयो सुभद्रा जयो गौरानिताय 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 जयो गौरानिताय प्रभुपाद 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 जयो जयो प्रभुपाद जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे All glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga all glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's discussion of Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. We are reading from 9th canto, chapter 19, titled as King Yayati Achieves Liberation. We are reading from verse number 9. Sopi chanugatastraina kripanastvam prasaditum kurvan idavidakaram na shaknot patisandhitum. Sopi chanugatastraina kripanastam prasaditum kurvan idavidakaram na shaknot patisandhitum. Sopi chanugatastraina kripanastam prasaditum kurvan idavidakaram na shaknot patisandhitum. Prabhuji. Chanugatastrainam Mataji's. Sopi chanugatastrainam na shaknoti patisandhitum. Word to word translation. Saha, that he goat. Sorry, that he goat. Api, also. Cha, also. Anugataha, following the she goat. Strainaha, henpecked. Kripanaha, very poor. Tam, her, prasaditum, to satisfy. Kurvan, making. Idavidakaram, an utterance in the language of the goats. Na, not. Ashaknot, was able. Pathi, on the road. Sandhitum, to satisfy. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being very sorry, the he-goat, who was subservient to his wife, followed the she-goat on the road and tried his best to flatter her, but he could not pacify her. I'll read the 10th. It's got a purport on it. Tasya tatra dvija kaschid aja swami achinnadrusha lambantam vrishanam bhuyah sandadherthaya yogavit. The she-goat went to the residence of a Brahmana who was the maintainer of another she-goat. And that Brahmana angrily cut off the he-goat's dangling testicles. But at the he-goat's request, the Brahmana later rejoined them by the power of mystic yoga. Purport. Here, Shukracharya is figuratively described as the husband of another she-goat. This indicates that the relationship between husband and wife in any society, whether higher or lower than human society, is nothing but the same relationship between a he-goat and a she-goat. For the material relationship between a man and a woman is one of sex. Yan maithunadi grahamedi sukham hit tuchham. Shukracharya was an acharya or expert in family affairs, which involved the transfer of semen from he-goat to she-goat. The words Kaschid Ajas Swami expressly indicate herein that Shukracharya was no better than Yayati, for both of them were interested in family affairs generated by Shukra or semen. Shukracharya first cursed Yayati to become old so that he could no longer indulge in sex. But when Shukracharya saw that Yayati's emasculation would make his own daughter a victim of punishment, he used his mystic power to restore Yayati's masculinity. Because he used his power of mystic yoga for family affairs and not to realize the supreme personality of Godhead, this exercise in the magic of yoga was no better than the affairs of the he-goats and she-goats. Yogic power should properly be used to realize the supreme personality of Godhead. As the Lord himself recommends in the Bhagavad Gita 6:47, Yoginam api sarvesham matgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishna Vamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam Dvaipayana viraha katara ajurahava Putreti tanmayataya daravobhinedu Stham sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. Hare Krishna. So we are reading a very interesting metaphorical story which Yayati is relating to his beloved. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is a transcendental literature, actually. Why is it transcendental? If you really see the topic that is being discussed from initially when the Britishers tried to translate these literatures, they felt it was gross, reading these verses. They thought, oh, it was aboriginal or very, very rudimentary literature. But they could not comprehend the topic that Bhagavatam deals with. Just in the second verse of the Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam reveals what is the whole goal of the study of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the vastu. Dharma projhita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Śrīmad Bhāgavate mahamuni krite Kim va parairishvara sadyo hridyavaruddhatetra kritibihi shushrusubhistatkshana. It says this literature is dealing with that aspect of dharma which does not deal with anything other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharma projhita kaitavotra. Kaitava dharma means cheating religion. What is cheating religion? Any religion or any practice of dharma that takes me away from my ultimate goal of life is cheating religion. Projhita. And it rejects dharma. And what does it do? And this is for whom the eligibility of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam also is given. Nirmatsaranam satam. That is, who are non-envious. Non-envious, because these are very deep aspects. Adhyatma Chintan, spiritual understanding is very deep, actually. When we ask His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, are we practicing devotees? Maharaj says we are not even devotees. We are devotee abhas. We are reflection of devotees. We are not devotees yet. So deep is spiritual understanding, what to talk of devotional service. And then Bhagavatam in the second line of this verse, Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam. That Shivadam means the auspicious vastu, which is that object of understanding, is what is revealed in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which when is revealed in our hearts, tapatrayon mulanam. Tapatraya means three miseries. Tapa means misery, traya means three. Tapatrayo mulanam means it will be cornered. The three miseries of this entire existence will be cornered once we know the original Vastu Sri Krishna. And then this has been composed by whom? Mahamuni Krite. Veda Vyasa composed this, and it has been spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. Kimva Parayar Ishvaraha Sadhyo. And when somebody approaches Śrīmad Bhāgavatam with open hands, willing to take the message of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, what has happened? What happens to him? Sadhyo Hridya means very quickly avarudhyatetra kritibhi shushrusubhis tatkshanat. Very quickly purification happens and auspiciousness will get invoked in the heart. And this is what Bhagavatam actually elucidates just in the second verse. Now this topic that we are dealing here is very, very gross, because we see how Yayati is embroiled in his sexual affairs with his wife, and how he is lamenting how he wasted his human form of life. He's feeling the guilt. Now, I was thinking, what should I speak on this? So I thought, let's for a while ponder on, there are three things in this existence which deviate us from bhakti. You know what they are? The senses, the sense objects, and the perception between these two. In Sanskritam, it is called as matra. Have you heard the word matra? Matra sparshastu kaunteya. It is not the senses that create the problem. It is not the sense objects that create the problem. It is the perception between the two that creates the problem. That's why Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya. When the senses and the sense objects combine together, the eyes look at something, the ears hear something, the skin touches something. When that touch happens, sparshas, that the perception is called matra. So the whole game in this material world is just matra, how one perceives the interaction between the senses and the sense objects. I was contemplating, why is that in this existence, every living entity who is embodied is somehow attracted to the material object, is it not? The senses are naturally moving towards the sense objects. When we see some palatable dishes, our mouth salivates. Is it not? Prabhuji, rasmalai. Oh, samosa, garam garam, kachori, samosa khani hai, Prabhuji. You know. Why is that? There is a natural affinity between the senses and the sense objects. The reason is, Shastras say, somehow the mind is convinced that there is pleasure in that object. Somehow I am convinced if I eat that khichdi, I will be happy. The hog thinks, if I eat that hot stool, I will be very happy. It's the same thing, because samosa is a conversion of another part of this material object, which is Panchabhutas, which is none other than earth. You know, it's a conversion of earth only. That's why Mahaprabhu was preaching to his mother, I'm eating mud because it's nothing but earth. But mother said, no, Rasgulla is different, earth is different, because you have to honor Prashadam. You can't just eat earth, you know. But ultimately it is the same thing. Mahaprabhu was preaching the tattva. And sometimes when the senses don't get the sense objects, the mind will say, no, work hard. Later you will get it. You know. Therefore, the mind says, to attain the sense object, you have to do some cheshta. Cheshta rupa means I have to work. When I work, I will attain the pleasure. So this is how the whole matrix, complex matrix is situated in this material world. That I want that sense object. If you can't attain it, you have to work it, and eventually you will get it. And this is how it is designed. Because this, in our heart, we are convinced that that material object, and it could be anything, it could be the gross material object like kachori or rasgulla or rasmalai, or it could be a subtle object like fame, prestige, puja, pratishtha, prashansa, appreciation, glorification, fame, power, beauty, you know, strength. Anything can be attached. All of these are from a material perspective that one can get attached. That is why if the conditioning is so deep, that we get stuck in this samsara. Krishna says, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayyaveshita chetasam. He says, the only person who can deliver you, Arjuna, is me. He says, Tesham aham samudharta. I can deliver you from this material quagmire, actually. Krishna says this. This conditioning is so deep that that material object will give me pleasure, because it is deep down inside the heart. Because right now I'm speaking about it, is it not? Even when I'm speaking about it, my mind can think, hey, look, you are speaking very high tattva, so that people will think I'm very detached. Is it not? Naturally, people will be happy listening to me now. But in my mind, I'm thinking, if people are happy, I am the sadhu. The mind is thinking, the mind is feasting already on the fame that people are giving ears to my speech now. So deep this entrenchment of conditioning is. Very deep. It's very difficult to take it away. It's not easy. And if we think that I can take it away by my endeavor, that's another foolishness. Because then I'm relying on my endeavor also now. Mera endeavor, mera sadhana hai, mera bhakti hai, my sadhana, my endeavor. Where is it? That is also another reliance on my capability. Is it not? So deep is this conditioning. Very deep. That is why, how do we then overcome this? Because even so-called preacher, right now I'm preaching, I am also a victim. Because how do we understand? Just you have to observe me what I do after the Bhagavatam class. When I'm eating the khichdi, salt is very less in the khichdi, Prabhuji. You know? And then I need a soft bed for my bed, you know, to sleep. I need a soft bed. It's very hot. I need some cool air. Because I'm still attached to the senses. Prabhuji, we have to be practical, Prabhuji. We'll then give example of practicality also. Why? Because we're still conditioned. One may be preaching. I may be preaching, but I'm still conditioned. So therefore, in the Shastras, that is why the first predominating factor that one has to observe is not prachar. They have to observe the achar. Means what? What is my conduct? In front of everyone, when I am alone. Primarily when I am alone. When nobody is watching me, what is my conduct? That is what defines how conditioned I am and how conditioned I am not. That is why Shastras reveal this. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadvesha vyavasthitau tayornavasham agachet tau hi asya paripanthinau. Krishna says, Indriyasyarthe. This sense objects dealings, there are 2 things which we get used to. What is that? Raga and dvesha. That's why Krishna says, Vita raga bhaya krodha. Krishna says you have to get out of raga. Raga means attachment. Attachment to the sense objects here. Indriyasya arthe. The artha of indriya is objects. What is artha? Meaning of senses means the senses don't have a meaning if there are no sense objects. Because Krishna has created the senses. Krishna has created the sense objects, in fact. And both are Krishna's energies. Because you see, Brahmaji, when he takes a tour of Vaikuntha, he sees all the 10 senses as energies serving the Lord in Vaikuntha. So they are energies of the Lord. So is the material object. It is just the perception of the mind that I think I can enjoy the material object. That is what the crux is. That is why there are many ways that scripture suggests how one can overcome this attachment to the sense objects. One way which the scripture suggests is constant remembering, reminding ourselves that there is no pleasure in the sense objects. There is absolutely no pleasure in the sense objects. This is tuchha. This is very low class. There is no pleasure in the sense of. In fact, I was serving a sannyasi. We had an opportunity to serve a sannyasi here in the temple a few years ago. Me and Madhuri were serving. And that when I saw sannyasi for the first time, generally when we serve many devotees, we would like them to serve palatable dishes, but the sannyasi had only, I'll name it, it is His Holiness Jananand Goswami Maharaj. His desire was only to have quinoa khichdi. But we still had made some roti, sabjis, 5, 6, just in case if Maharaj would like to have it. Then his servant said, "Where is my bowl?" I said, "Okay, Maharaj is having it in a bowl. How will we serve roti and sabji? Where is my khichdi?" "Maharaj, we have made roti. We have made bhendi ka sabji. Maharaj, we have made this. We have made that." "You didn't make my khichdi?" No, we made the khichdi, Maharaj. We were just thinking if he would have something else. Then he says, "Please put my khichdi." Then he said, "Can you please put me a roti slice, thumb sabji?" Everything in the khichdi. He mixed it and he started partaking it, listening to Krishna book. He said, "I cannot distinguish between the prasadam. I should not be." Of course, he's a sannyasi, right? He's a sannyasi. Sannyasi has some principles that because he's observant of his own senses, my tongue will distinguish. This is nice prasadam, this is not, I don't like karela, I like sweets. I don't want my tongue, I don't even want to give a chance to the tongue to distinguish between prasadam. Because everything is prasadam. I will honor it like this. So it was quite amazing how constant observing our own senses. It is called one must be a spectator of one's own behavior and one's own nature. And one should constantly remind that this material object will never ever give me pleasure. For example, somebody might have a rasgulla. First rasgulla, very tasty. Second rasgulla, who made this, Prabhuji? What amazing consistency, Prabhu. Paneer, it's soaked right, consistency, sweet sugar. Prabhu, very nice, Prabhu. I might have another one, Prabhuji. Prabhu, please have another one. Prabhu, please have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Prabhu, please, Prabhu, enough, Prabhuji. 10th, Prabhu, you should eat, Prabhuji. 11th, Prabhu, no, Prabhu. Prabhu, it is obnoxious, Prabhuji. Prabhu, 5 rasgullas before you were saying, what consistency, what sugar syrup. Same rasgulla, same thing, same person, same object, same senses. The perception has changed. Is it not? So it is not the material object that was giving the pleasure. It was not the senses that was giving the pleasure. It was just your perception. Because what has changed now? The perception has changed. Because the moment the pet bhar gaya, then you are saying, I hate to eat, Prabhuji. Next 1 year I will not touch rasgullas, Prabhuji. Enough. That Prabhuji, I went to eat in his house and he served me 20 rotis and that sabji, and I will never go again and eat in his house, Prabhuji. He overdid it, Neither he overdid it, it was the perception. Of course, the quantity has to be controlled, but that is why we have to understand where is this pleasure coming from. If it was not the rasgulla, if it was not the material sense object, where is the pleasure coming from? But one may also say, Prabhu, there is pleasure, Prabhuji. Did you not feel nice when you ate the rasgulla? How can you deny there was pleasure in the interaction, Prabhu? I did feel happy when I bit the rasgulla. The taste exploded in my mouth, Prabhuji. There was pleasure. How can you deny that pleasure? You can't be a Mayavadi, Prabhuji. There is pleasure. So we will actually research that a little bit further. Krishna says in 1838, Vishayendriya samyogad yat taddagre mrutopamam pariname vishamiva tad sukham rajasam smritam. This is rajasic pleasure. What is that? Initially when you eat, yat taddagre amrutopamam, it is very tasty in the beginning. Pariname vishamiva, you continue to pursue that pleasure. Tat sukham rajasam pariname vishamiva. In the end it becomes visham. It becomes distasteful and detestful. This is what material pleasure is. This is what material pleasure is. In fact, there is a story of a dog. You know, a dog was walking on a street and it picks up a dry bone. And it starts chewing on the dry bone. You've seen dogs chew bones, right? When it is chewing on the dry bone, the bone pierces its mouth. And when it pierces its mouth, it starts bleeding inside the mouth. But it is continuing to chew because it's hungry. And then when it tastes its own blood, it thinks the bone is very tasty. The bone is very tasty. Taste of blood. Oh, very tasty. But it's its own blood. Its own blood. But it doesn't realize it goes on chewing the bone so much so that it develops mouth ulcers. So this is how our material pleasures are. Because we do not know. Many times... So what made the dog chew the bone and what made the dog think that there was pleasure in that interaction even though it was painful for it later? Vishamiva, pariname vishamiva. It is because the pleasure that we derive of that perception is actually coming from the soul. It is coming from the soul. Otherwise you will not feel pleasure. That tinge of pleasure that you are feeling is because it's a reflection of the bliss, the Satchidanand, the Ananda aspect of the Atma, but because it is reflected on the material object and there is a misconception that there is pleasure in that object, that Ananda, a little bit of pleasure is given by Krishna so that you can enjoy that material object, but actually very quickly you will realize the pleasure is not in that object. Then we move on to search the object. Therefore, the whole material existence is searching for an object where you can get pleasure eternally, unparalleled, unobstructed, and pleasure continues and increasing all the time. This is the object we are looking for, is it not? This is what we are all looking for. So that I can be always happy, I can be comfortable, there is no disease, no old age, no graying of the hair, no knee pain, I can always have good body, good shape, everything. We are looking for eternity, but we are looking in the wrong place. So that Ananda we are experiencing is because of the Atma inside, but in the wrong place. Though therefore it doesn't sustain for a longer duration. It's anitya. That is why in this verse, Yayati was attracted to the material beauty. And therefore he is now lamenting after a long time he has realized the predicament of material beauty. In fact, in early 19th century in the African continent, because they were colonized by the European powers, it was ingrained in the African civilization to be white is to be good and beautiful. To be beautiful means to be white. So much so, there was a movement started in Africa called as Black is Beautiful. You know, just to make sure the civilization doesn't get brainwashed that you have to be only white to be beautiful. One day I was doing the book table. One mother with a child came here, maybe a resident around who lives around. And she came to me and asked, why is your God black? Nice question she asked, because probably she's coming for the first time. And why are you wearing white? So what can you explain to them, you know? I said, black means mysterious. I said, black means mysterious. So you keep on searching him, you will eventually find him. That's what it signifies, I said. And why do you wear white? I said, that's because Jesus Christ wears white. She kept quiet. Because Jesus Christ wears white, so she kept quiet. And I asked the girl, the child, what does Jesus Christ wear? White. So we wear white. And then that was it. So she had come for prasadam and probably she just peeked into the temple. So therefore, people do not understand. It's not easy to comprehend. What is beauty? Material beauty, in fact, in China, in the mid-19th century, there was this conception of, have you heard of Little Cinderella? Where your feet has to be small. The tinier your feet is, the more beautiful you are. They had this conception. So much so that almost one generation of the Chinese girls, they were doing something called as foot binding. Have you heard of that? Foot binding means they will bind some cloth to it so that the feet do not grow. Because if the feet grows beyond certain size, you're ugly. So therefore, their feet should not grow. So much so, it led to crippling pain, fractures of the foot, and so much so they are crippled for life. They can never walk steadily because they had put these foot binding techniques to make sure their feet do not grow. Even today, I was researching in the African continent, 1 in 3 citizens bleach their skin. They use a chemical to bleach their skins to look little lighter in color. So the black is beautiful. So much so it is ingrained by the media that you have to look a little lighter in color to be beautiful. Because so much so attachment to the skin. Fair and Lovely in India, there was a cream called Fair and Lovely, which I also use sometimes. Because I used to ask my mom, why am I black when you are so white? So Fair and Lovely, somebody from India will know that. It's a cream that very beautiful film actresses used to market. If you put this cream, you will become glowingly white and light in color. They made 250 billion rupees of business till date. Can you believe what is the market? Just by putting that cream, and nobody knows what that cream by God has, It's because, first of all, I am attached to my identity, and I'm not happy with my identity. I want to be someone else. And probably other person, he's also who is white and everything is nice, he's also thinking, I'm also depressed because I want to be someone else. You see, this pursuit continues unless we find that one thing by which we will completely get satiated. This is the pursuit of material pleasure, what Krishna creates us. That is why material beauty is illusory. That's what Yayati has now realized, that I am running behind something that is very fleeting. And the central creation of this matrix is Pumsa Stri Maituni Bhavam. Bhavam Tayormitha Hridaya Granti Mahuhu Ato Griha Kshetra Suta Apta Vittaihi Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti. The root of the cause is Aham and me and mine. And then expansion of me and mine comes is Stri Maituni Bhava. The attraction between the opposite sexes. I can't even use opposite these days. Opposite sexes. So, that is why the scripture suggests there are 2 methods by which you can escape this. The first method is, dry. What is that? Always think material objects is useless. Do not interact with the material senses. Just abstain from activities. Do not enjoy your life. Just be very austere. This is the thought process of the jnanis. The jnanis think like that. There is a section of practitioners who think like this, who will not do any activities. They will not engage in kirtan. They will see kirtan. Why are these guys doing? Sannyasis mean should be grave. They blame Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You are a sannyasi of the top order, Bharati Sampradaya, and you are dancing on the streets like a fool. You should be studying Vedas. But they did not understand the natural proclivity of the Jivatman. They are just dry speculators. That's why Prabhupada calls them mental speculators. And the yogis. It is said that this conditioning, the conditioning that we were discussing, how that we are attracted to material objects, this comes from a point in the mind called as chitta. Chitta is a memory shell. This is what brings out all those desires. That if I eat this, I'll be happy. If I smell this, I will be happy. Therefore, the yogis, what they do? Chitta vritti nirodha. They will curtail that vritti of the chitta by focusing on the ashta angas. meditation, yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyahara, samadhi. This is the process by which they will curtail the chitta, and then gradually they bring it to Paramatma. Very difficult to practice in today's day and age, because the first practice of yoga is to become celibate. The second method is full of bliss. What is that? It is to divert the propensity of such an object to another object by which we don't have to resent it, but we just have to engage that propensity in a higher material object. That's what called as higher taste. In ISKCON we call it as higher taste. So is there such an object? And this process is called bhakti. In bhakti, see, generally in material world, some vastu, when we see a vastu, it is very dear to us. It is called, ye vastu mujhe bahut priya hai. Priya. Have you heard of the word priya? Priya means I like it. I like it. Beyond priya is priyatara. Beyond priya. Jiva Goswami writes this as his bhashya to Bhagavad Gita, when in the 18th chapter he talks about guhya, guhyatara and guhyatama. Iti guhyatama, Krishna says. Then he says the verse, man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. And then he says, sarva dharman parityaj. So like that, priya, or material objects are priya. Then we go beyond material objects, which is jivatma, which is priyatara. And beyond the atman is priyatama, which is Krishna. That is why the gopis says priyatama. Priyatama means who is the ultimate. Uttama priya is Krishna. That is what bhakti takes us to elucidate, that object which you are searching for, vedyam vastavamatra vastu, that vastu is Krishna. Because once you start searching for Krishna, then everything else becomes phika. Everything becomes dry. Who tells this? Gopis. In the rasa dance, they chant a verse. Kastryangate kala pradayat padayata venu gita sammohitarya charitam na chale trilokyam trailokya saubhagamidam cha niriksharupam yadgodvijadruma mrgah pulakanya bhiran. The gopis say, Kastri anga te kalapadayata venu gita. The gopis are saying, Krishna, the words that is emanating from your lotus lips through the flute, which woman in this world can remain chaste after hearing that flute? Kastri anga te kala pada means the words, padayata venu gita sammohitarya charitan na chalet trilokyan. It is not only us, Krishna, who are attracted to your flute, yad godvija drumam mrigaha. Even the trees are attracted to your sound of the flute. Even the cows, the deer, the animals in the forest, the birds, they all are stunned hearing your flute. What to talk of us mere women? Kastriyanga. We are always attracted. And the hairs stand. Trailokya saubhagam. It is very auspicious, Krishna, that we are attracted to you. Gopis say this. That Krishna's beauty is so beautiful that once when one gets attracted to Krishna's beauty, then you don't have to think of rejecting material objects. It naturally falls away. After coming to ISKCON, we see this. When we start beginning to practice, we differentiate between bhoga and prasadam. We call it bhoga. You know why? Bhoga means what? What is bhoga? Sense gratification. Is it not? Bhoga ishvarya prasaktanam tayapa hritachetasam. Is it not? Bhoga means sense gratification. So, what do? We engage that bhoga into Krishna's service and then becomes prasadam. Is it not? That is why we call it bhoga. Actually, it is called naivedyam. Bhoga means the perception of seeing a material object for my sense gratification is called bhoga. Therefore, we say it is bhoga section and prasadam section. Bhoga section means the only person who can do bhuka is Krishna. He can only bhog. He bhog sakta hai, hum nahi. That is why it is bhoga. It is bhoga for Krishna. Therefore, he can enjoy the material objects, not us. And when we see his enjoyment, then we become happy. That is the point. So, that is what gopis say. But Bhagavatam goes one step further. Bhagavatam says, what to talk of Krishna's beauty? Even the tulasi at the lotus feet of Krishna, that is enough to get us attracted. The Kumaras, Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjalka mishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu antargatasva vivarena chakaratesham sankshobham aksharajusham api chitta tanvoho. Bhagavatam says, you know, these jnanis, they are jnanis, right? They don't want to engage with anything material. Kumaras were like that. But the problem is, you can stop your skin from touching something soft. You can stop your tongue from touching something tasty. You can stop your ears from hearing something with your noise-cancelling earphones. Yeah? You can't stop the nose from breathing, can you? This is the only sense which you can't stop. Therefore, the Lord thought, I will trap these jnanis by my tulasi leaves. So the moment that tulsi's gandha went in, tasya aravinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjalka mishra tulasi makaranda vayuhu. The air just transferred the smell of tulasis to the makaranda, to the nostrils of the Kumaras. What is this? Because jnanis, they have never ever desired anything beyond themselves. Oh, atmaramascha moneo. Hridaya grantihi, the verse which we read before, is tayor mitha hridaya grantihi. It binds us, right? So grantha means binds us. Nirgrantha urukrame. Nirgrantha means which removes the binding of the heart. What is this? The tulasi fragrance from the lotus feet of the Lord. That is enough. That was enough for the Kumaras to be liberated. Such people who were actually so much against material sense gratification, they started feeling, what is this? Where is this fragrance coming from? They were doubtful. Till now, we have not desired anything apart from our own Atman. Now we are desiring something beyond, and that too, the smell of something. What is that? Therefore, they got attracted towards the Lord. When the Lord came out with Lakshmi ji at the door of Vaikuntha, they got attracted. Such is the potency of the Lord. Such is the potency of the Lord's beauty. That is why in the Bhagavatam, Śrīmad says, Atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha api urukrame kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim ittam bhuta guno harihi. The qualities of the Lord are transcendental. Therefore, here Atmaramascha munayo got attracted to the qualities. What was the quality they got attracted to? The fragrance of the tulasi leaves. Okay? That is one level of attraction to the Lord. We Gaudiya Sampradayis, it took me a long time to understand this, because I come from the southern part of India. Gunanusandhana is a part of our worship to the Lord. Means to meditate on the transcendental qualities of the Lord is auspicious. That's called Guna Anusandhanam. But Mahaprabhu came to give us something more. You know why? The gopis are not attracted to the qualities of the Lord. You know why? Because the gopis are thinking, I am attracted to Krishna because he is beautiful. I am attracted to Krishna because he is my dear Lord. I am attracted to Krishna because he is benevolent. Gopis say, I am attracted to Krishna, full stop. No because. There is no other reason. I am attracted to Krishna, full stop. This is what Mahaprabhu came to give us. Unalloyed, the purest form of Madhurya Rasa, gopis elucidate. They are attracted to Krishna. Why? You ask them, why you are attracted to Krishna? They'll say, don't ask me, I don't know why. I'm just attracted to Krishna. That's it. This is the highest attraction that one can have in the Madhurya Rasa, especially in the Parakya Rasa. So, this is what our Acharyas have come to give us. That is why we have to develop this attraction to Krishna. And of course, it is not easy to come to that level of attraction to Krishna. That is why Prabhupada, in one of the cantos, third canto, Prabhupada says, even knowledge of Krishna is a badhaka, is an obstruction for your Krishna consciousness if you want to worship him Madhurya Rasa. Because you will think he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or you will think he is controlling the three worlds, etc. That is also an obstruction for you to naturally flow. Nirgrantha urukrame means one who are engrossed in the rules and regulations of the scriptures. Huh? If they thought a woman should not run away from their house in the middle of the night, a gopi would have read about scriptural injunction, then they could have never ran to Krishna's Rasa Leela. Of course, we cannot imitate that. You have to understand that. So they elucidate this attraction. And that running away comes naturally. That is why it is called Ragatmika Bhakti. Ragatmika Bhakti means not that the wife will say, how dare you tell me I am a pure devotee of the Lord. I reject you and run away to Krishna. To do what? To eat khichdi in the temple. No, that is not pure bhakti. Naturally, one is not aware of their external existence itself. That is the epitome of bhakti, the gopis. And in the Mukunda Mala Stotra, Kulashekara Alvar says, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Shri Krishna Bhakta Priya Chakrapane Shri Padmanabha Chutakaita Bhare Shri Rama Padmaksha Hare Murare Ananta Vaikuntha Mukunda Krishna Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Vaktum samarthopi na bhakti kaschet aho jananam vyasana bhimukhyam. Kulashekara Alva says, just your name, my dear Lord, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, this itself is enough for someone to get attracted. What to talk of your Tulsi? Your names are itself so attractive. Your names are itself so attractive. So one has to develop that attraction towards the name of the Lord, and then gradually our attraction to sense objects and sense gratification will gradually fall apart. But one may say, Prabhu, when will I develop? At least if I cannot develop the Shuddha Naam, develop a desire to chant the Shuddha Naam. One step backward. Let me develop the desire to chant properly. When we come to Radharani and Nityananda Prabhu, we ask them, please, my dear mother, can you give me the taste to chant the holy name properly? Can you give us the inclination to develop the taste to chant the holy name? And therefore they will grant it. Because as I said, attraction to Krishna has to be given by Krishna. It is a part of Antaranga Shakti of the Lord. It is not a part of Tatastha Shakti. So therefore he has to bestow. He will bestow. See, there is a difference in the material atmosphere and the spiritual atmosphere. In the material world, do you get anything by desire? No. You have to work for it. Is it not? So you have to do karma, karya for it. In the spiritual world, it is called as desire tree. You have to desire it. That's it. So therefore, if you want to access the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, develop the desire. Ichha matra. Just by desiring Krishna's service, desiring to serve Krishna by chanting the holy name, Krishna will eventually bestow if we deserve it, by the mercy of the devotees. So this is what comes apart in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and all our acharyas elucidate. So on this auspicious second day of Kartik month, we pray to Shri Srimati Radharani that we also develop a deep desire to worship her beloved Lord, who is Damodara, who is Krishna, so that we also can eventually, eternally get attracted to that sweet form of the Supreme Lord, thereby, and always as a side effect, lose our attraction to these material sense objects. So I'll stop here. Is there any questions or comments we can discuss for a while? Yes, Sivya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you were talking about sense enjoyment. So I wanted to ask, does the sense enjoyment that we derive from gratifying our senses give any pleasure to the soul, or does it only give pleasure to the body? Does it only give temporary happiness to the body?
Okay, just for my understanding, you're saying, does the enjoyment of material sense objects, does it give any pleasure to the soul? What do you think? Perception. The theme of the class was perception. What suppose it's the same material object when you take Sharanamrit? Is it not? It's milk, honey, sugar, yogurt. Is it not material object? But when you take it, you feel like that. Was there pleasure in it? It was. But what was the pleasure? Was pleasure in the Charanamrit? Was the pleasure in the yogurt, ghee, honey? The pleasure was in the term called Charana Amrita, because it's touched the lotus feet of the Lord. So you are actually partaking Krishna. You're not partaking the material object. It is no more material now because it has touched Krishna. If taken it in the proper context of consciousness. But if I think, Prabhu, this is like condensed milk, Prabhu, I'll put a whole glass and drink it. That is, you're still partaking Charanamrit, but in the wrong perception. So as long as the perception is right, even the material object can make us aware of Krishna. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, Krishna says. You can perceive me everywhere, Arjuna. You have to develop the consciousness to perceive me there. So is Krishna here? Is Krishna there in our Rasgulla? Yes, he is. As long as I'm able to perceive Krishna in that right context and consciousness. That is the point. Therefore, the pleasure is not in the material object, nor in the senses, but is in the perception of it. And therefore, when I perceive it as to be Krishna, then I will not overdo it. I will also be careful and carefully. That's why we say honoring prasadam, not taking prasadam. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's difficult to be in that consciousness all the while. Yes. It does. It does, yes. Because in this material embodied soul, we have to interact with material objects. This is not, it becomes very impractical to say, I cannot interact with material objects at all because they're material. No, we do interact, but interact as if we don't belong to the spiritual, material world. We always are in tune with Krishna. Riteratam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. Krishna says, yatha bhasu yatatamaha, that if you still feel this is, if you feel this is a part of Krishna's energy, and you're perceiving it to be Krishna at all time, place and circumstances, then there is nothing else you will see except Krishna. That is the stage of consciousness called Avadhuta consciousness one has to be in. And that is what the goal is actually. Make sense? You remember Raghunath Das Goswami, I think he was eating sweet rice all the while. 3 days he doesn't come out and they open the door, he's fallen unconscious. And actually there was no sweet rice. He's just thinking of sweet rice and he's fallen unconscious because he's eaten so much sweet rice in his Manas Puja. So mind has that power actually to connect to Krishna. So we use it to connect to Krishna even while interacting with the material objects. Because material objects gives us tangible experience. So we should not discount but use it for our Krishna service. Make sense? Thank you. Any more questions? So we'll stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, कार्तिक मास की जय, दामोदर श्री राधा दामोदर की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद।
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,